will admit my initial impressions of macOS Sonoma was okay. I didn't find anything impressive, but after spending some time with it digging through its settings menu, I have found few hidden and not so hidden settings that will make your macOS experience way better and macOS Sonoma experience much more helpful than before. So let's get started. Number 1, clean desktop. But you might not be able to enjoy these new wallpapers if you have a bunch of files and folders on your desktop, especially with the ability to add new widgets in Sonoma. It might be just cluttered. So thankfully there is a quick fix. Go to System Settings, Desktop and Dock, and under the Desktop and Stage Manager section, turn off Show Items on Desktop option. Now, whenever you go to Desktop and click anywhere on the screen, everything on the desktop will be hidden, revealing your wallpaper. Number 2, browsing protection. It is a well-known fact that Safari browser offers its users a privacy and security-focused browsing experience, and it's filled with many features that most people probably don't know about. One of those features that got added to Safari is advanced tracking and finger protection. What this feature does, it will prevent trackers and advertisers from collecting information about your browsing history. This would drastically reduce the amount of personal information companies collect and store about you, also improve the speed at which your sites will load. While this feature is excellent, it's only enabled to work in private browsing mode by default. So if you want to prevent those nosy advertisers tracking your online activity even in normal browsing mode, head over to Safari Settings Advanced and then in Private section select drop-down menu to Use Advanced Tracking and Fingerprinting Protection and select the In All Browsing option. Now trackers won't be able to track your browsing history no matter what type of browsing mode you're in. Number 3, turn on cleanup automatically for verification codes. So if you're constantly logging into various services and apps and you have enabled two-factor authentication, your mail inbox is probably filled with all these verification codes. And if you're obsessed with having a clean inbox like I do, you probably want to go in and delete all of them. And with the new macOS Sonoma update, you don't have to manually delete them. You can go to System Settings, Passwords, Password Options, and from here, enable Cleanup Automatically option under the Verifications Code section. So once you have this option enabled, all the verification emails will be automatically deleted. So once you have this option enabled, all the verification emails will be automatically deleted and it will be auto-filled by Safari. And the only caveat here is that this will only work if your default mail app is the Apple Mail app. So Apple hasn't released this to all the other third parties, obviously. So if you're using a third-party mail app, you might have to wait a little bit longer. Number 4, turn on Inline Predictive test. So if you want your Mac to automatically suggest what to type as you're typing based on your words and sentences like a nice little assistant, you should enable the Inline Predictive text. But one thing to remember here is it's not always really accurate. So sometimes instead of speeding you up, it might slow you down. But still, if you're into it, it can come pretty handy. So to turn on this feature, go to System Settings, Keyboard, and under the Text Input section, click on the Edit button next to Input Sources option. And on the next page, simply enable the Show Inline Predictive Text option, and you should be good to go. As I said earlier, this might slow you down in some cases, so you can always go back and turn it off. Number 5, turn on Listen for Siri instead of just Hey Siri. So you no longer have to say Hey Siri all the time if you want to bring Siri for your assistance. You can shortcut the Hey Siri command to just Siri. It might not seem like a huge difference, but if you're someone who uses Siri most of the time, it might be a bit daunting to say Hey Siri all the time. So instead now you could just say Siri. So if you want this feature, go to System Settings and Siri Spotlight, click on the drop-down menu next to this Listen For option and select Siri or Hey Siri. Once Apple makes you practice the phrase a bunch of times, you will be good to go. Just make sure you don't have any other devices lying around, but otherwise it would just cause chaos. Number 6, turn on portrait and studio lighting effects in FaceTime. macOS Sonoma brought some FaceTime updates like where you could show thumbs up or thumbs down or your heart emoji to bring up all these emojis. On top of that, there are also some camera features that would make you look good on your FaceTime calls. Once you're on a call, there are two different options which you can turn on. One is the portrait mode and the other is the studio light. To get to this feature, once you're on FaceTime, click on the green video icon in the menu bar. Then under the FaceTime HD camera section, enable portrait and studio light options by clicking on them. You can also expand this option to increase or decrease the portrait mode and studio light effects on a call. This feature also works on an external webcam or your iPhone continuity camera feature, so this is pretty handy. Number 7, Touch ID for private browsing. The private browsing mode in Safari is intended to browse privately without sharing your browsing activity. It doesn't matter what you're private browsing for. Maybe you're using a shared Mac, or maybe you're using your Mac in a public space and you want to keep things a bit more private. So on macOS Sonoma, making your private browsing even more private and secure is way easier now. If you have the latest Safari and macOS, you can now log the private mode in Safari behind your Touch ID, essentially restricting anyone from accessing it. To do this, go to Safari, Settings, Privacy, and from here enable the private browsing option. After this, whenever you switch to Safari's private browsing mode, it will require you to use your Touch ID to open it. Number 8, Kanban board in Reminders app. One of the most popular task management method is the Kanban method. So if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a board where you can see a list of columns in which each of the column takes one of your tasks based on the status of that specific task. So here is an example of a Kanban board from my Notion database where I used to track all my YouTube video projects. So I have sections like not started, in progress, filmed, and done. So based on the status of the specific task, you can move around them. So if you're a fan of this method, you can now do this same exact thing on Reminders app with the new Sonoma update. To turn on this feature, open Reminders app and then click on the view menu at the top and select As Columns option. It's as simple as that. You can then click the Add a New Column button in the top right corner to create as many columns as you want to add more items to your list. You can even move items between the columns. Like I said, depending on the progress of the task, you can move it from not started to started, or started to in progress, or from progress to done. I use Notion to manage my content calendar, but I'm aware there are a lot of apps out there these days that can do exactly the same. Some apps like Trello, and in software development, the most popular one is Jira. And all Atlassian products can do some sort of Kanban board, but it's very cool that now that it's available in the Reminders app. Number 9 is pointer acceleration. So if you're one of those rare people who games a lot on your Mac, and this feature is for you. There's a new feature on macOS Sonoma that lets you turn off pointer acceleration for any external mouse, making the mouse pointer movements more precise and helping you aim and shoot or simply navigate more accurately. So if you're one of these people who games, here is how to turn off pointer acceleration on your Mac. Head over to System Settings, Mouse, Advanced, and from here turn off the pointer acceleration option, and you should be good to have a gaming experience from there. The last and final, save storage. So if you're running low on storage on your Mac and doesn't care much about the screensavers or never use them, here you can get a ton of storage space back. First open Finder, then use keyboard shortcut Command Shift plus G to open the Go To option. Paste this path into the Go To menu. I will leave this command in the description. Inside the folder, you will find another folder called DKSDR240FPS, which contains all the screensaver files you downloaded. Initially, I got excited to download all the screensavers for macOS Sonoma until I realized how much space that it's taking off from my Mac. So if you find this file, go ahead and delete them. If you're not gonna use any of these screensavers, that's gonna save a ton of SSD space on your MacBook. These are the 10 productivity/cool features that I found using macOS Sonoma over the past few months. Let me know in the comments below if you have something special that you have found out while using Sonoma. Until then, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have been, thanks for tuning in.